Borderlands hot takes. Hey guys, Termex here, and today I'm going to be reading over your guys' Borderlands hot takes. If you don't know, I made a community post over on YouTube, and I asked you guys, the viewers, your personal Borderlands hot takes, and let's just say I did take a look at one or two of them on my phone as they were coming in, and we're gonna hurt some feelings here today. But I know it's been a while since I posted some Borderlands contents or contents in general on the channel. I do apologize. Life is just kind of hitting me in the ass. I've had some car issues, and we're just gonna go in order of the most upvoted because I feel like if I just do every single one when it was posted, there's going to be some duplicates of the same thing. With the most upvoted comments, we have Luca, and he says, I think the grinder was actually a cool addition to Borderlands. I know it was hated because a lot of the items don't have dedicated drop sources, so it was the most efficient way of getting things. But if the pre-sequel didn't have that problem, people would otherwise actually like it. Now, I'm never going to say I speak for the majority of people, but personally, I thought the grinder was a pretty fun and interactive thing. I know, put the pitchforks down. Let me explain. Just like Lucas said, if there was dedicated drops already, the grinder would not be looked down upon so much. Yes, it was kind of a band-aid fix to not just giving certain bosses their dedicated drops within the pre-sequel, but hey, it was still fun in getting a little bit of RNG involved. I just enjoyed the anticipation of getting a random legendary item regardless of what it was, and I found it pretty easy to get rid of your extra guns and get a chance at better guns. If the grinder was within Borderlands 3, I think it would have been received very well, and people would use it for fun, challenge runs, you know, can you beat Borderlands 3 using the grinder? You probably would see 10 of those videos. But the grinder was a great mechanic to the Borderlands series, but it was kind of overshined in my opinion because of how flawed the refarming system from the pre-sequel was, because originally pre-sequel bosses didn't even respawn until they had to fix that after a recent patch after the game actually came out, because so many people complained about, I beat the game and I want to get these guns, where the hell do I get them? And the answer was the grinder. So yes, it was a band-aid, but I still think the grinder is probably top 5 features within the Borderlands series. Next comment is from user with a bunch of damn numbers and letters that I refuse to say, with a simple statement of Axton is a very solid vault hunter. There's no disagreement there. I love Axton. I would arguably put him in the top 3 in Borderlands 2 of all the vault hunters when it comes to OP 10. But if we're talking when it comes to level 72 no OP levels, Axton really starts to show his flaws, and he's a very gear dependent vault hunter, so that's why a lot of people kind of push him to the side. But he probably has some of the best versatility out of all the vault hunters in Borderlands 2. People are just too afraid to admit it. That's my hot take, but I fully agree with this one. Our next comment is from Willow? I don't know, man. Will W. Borderlands 3 is so close to being the best shooter. If you don't know what a shooter is, it means looter shooter. The means that Gearbox achieved this was seemingly in poor taste, mind you, but the actual mechanics, gunplay, and character skills were peak. I do agree with this. I don't think it is the, I guess you could say, the best shooter in the world. I'm still gonna simp and chill over Borderlands 2. Hate me all you want. I think it had way more soul and life put into that game than Borderlands 3 ever did. I guess that's another one of my hot takes. Borderlands 2 felt like it came from a place from a young studio, and they put out a passion project. They didn't let politic bullshit get in the way. They introduced a lot of LGBTQ community members, and they openly were open about that at a time in gaming where it wasn't really talked about too much, so I can't really hate on Borderlands whatsoever for that. Borderlands 2 just had a lot more passion built into it. You could tell with the amount of dedication and time put into certain side quests, or just voice lines for that matter. Even the character voice lines in Borderlands 2 had so much more versatility than Borderlands 3's. You go play Flak for 20 minutes and you'll see what I mean, and listen to how many duplicate voice lines you hear. Yes, sure, that's a thing in Borderlands 2, but the list is way longer than Borderlands 3's voice lines. I get so sick of Borderlands 3's voice lines. I hear Flak say the same shit every 10 seconds. The hunt awakens, and I get sick of it. Borderlands 3, I will admit, as a broad term of a shooter, when there's not many good shooters out there to begin with, other than maybe Destiny 2. Warframe's kind of a slasher shooter, and slasher shooter, say that 3 times fast. But overall, yes, I do believe it is already one of the better shooters because you get a lot of content value out of Borderlands 3, and especially if you get it on sale right now with the Steam Summer Sale, you get so much content for like 13 bucks. You can't really go wrong with it. But I will say, yes, like I said, the soul of the game just wasn't there. The story felt generic. The characters were kind of pushed to the side from the older games like Brick and Mordecai. They had one introductory boss fight within one DLC, and that's really it. Side quest, Tina was kind of another side character. They pushed a lot of the main characters to the side when I thought they would incorporate them a lot better. They made it seem like they were at some of the earlier campaign missions within Borderlands 3, but that fell off rather quickly. And I'm not even going to talk about anointments because I just think that was a MMO style feature that did not need to be within Borderlands, but that's a topic for another video. Our next comment is from Win Bestialimtima. Win Beast. I'm gonna call you Win Beast. People who genuinely believe believe that Ultimate Vault Hunter mode and OP levels in Borderlands 2 were fun and balanced are lying to themselves. Full stop. You know, Wind Beast? I don't know, man. I can see both sides of the argument here. There's a large portion of the Borderlands 2 community that really enjoyed OP levels in Digital Strike Peak Raid and how it evolved over time. And in that aspect, I like OP levels and I don't mind them too much. But when it comes to you need to slag everything, you need to switch to a slag weapon and then shoot the enemy. Your build needs slag in order to do something was kind of annoying for the majority of the player base. Personally, I didn't mind slag. It actually wasn't really required up until like OP 5 or 6, I'd have to say. Once you hit those OP levels, yes, you need slag or the game's basically shoot at the hitbox, and it's a bunch of sponges is what I'm saying. They could have done something better, but honestly, slag is a lot simpler than a lot of people are over-hating on it with, and let me explain. If we look at Diablo 4 right now that just came out in 2023, they basically have a slag mechanic. It's called vulnerability and vulnerable damage, and every character in that game in some way, shape, or form has a way to proc vulnerable. You don't need it. You could play the game without it, but are you going to enjoy yourself when you use it? Of course you are, and I think slag was a very simple implementation of a mechanic that's been in many modern games and even old games for the longest time now, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. The only thing I did not like about Ultimate Vault Hunter mode was the constant health regeneration. It made it seem a little bit artificial, and it made burst damage a lot more preferable compared to like elemental builds and elemental dots, and basically anything that was a damage over time set up like Cloud Kill on Maya or shock damage from Zero's hologram when he throws it out and it runs out at the shock explosion. Builds like that were just impossible because the damage over time wouldn't even do anything to the enemy's health bar because the health regeneration was so damn fast. Saw Good Guy says the pre-sequel has the best class design in any Borderlands game. You know, I'm gonna heart your comment just for that because that's a W. That is a W hot take because it honestly did. It had versatility. It had the options to use whatever you wanted but not confine you to a single weapon type. Unless you're a Wilhelm, sure, you were probably using lasers 90% of the time, but there was other viable Wilhelm builds. It wasn't just lasers. But then again, the pre-sequel was balanced a lot better, so I think that added on to the fact it made those already great class designs shine a little bit brighter because you already had a well-balanced game when it came to the end game. Definitely W from you, Saw Good Guy. That was very, very agreeable. I don't think any other Borderlands game has the skill trees that are better than the pre-sequel. Sure, the Borderlands 3 augments and all that were freaking amazing, but if you threw those Borderlands 3 augments onto the creativity of the pre-sequel classes, you would have a perfect Borderlands game in my opinion, because you'd have the versatility and you would have the creativity all within one game, and that hasn't really been done yet. Like I said, I will stand by Borderlands 2's side for 99% of things, but versatility and creativity with a lot of Borderlands 2 skills was just not there. You could hate me for saying that, but if you compare how cool visually and mechanically the pre-sequel skill trees were compared to Borderlands 2, it's night and day. The pre-sequel just easily wins that. 90% of Borderlands 2 skills were, if you do this, you reload fast. If you do this, magazine size increase. If you do this, you do more damage. Very simple. You know, it was very stagnant. But I'm not saying Borderlands 2 is bad. Don't assume things. I'm just saying, pre-sequel had it. Nailed it. Nailed it. I can't pronounce that. I'm not going to try to, but at the bro says the pre-sequel is really damn good and people hate it for no reason. Well, I won't say people hate it for no reason. I mean, there is, of course, people out there that are going to say, oh, the game sucks. It's Borderlands 2 is the best, and I'm going to suck Handsome Jack's. I do agree that the pre-sequel was hated for no reason by a lot of people. I think the dumbest argument for the pre-sequel being hated, quote unquote, was the jetpacks and the Oz kits, because the Oz kits weren't even really that bad. I enjoyed them, and the movement and the freedom of more movement made me feel less slow than in Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 1. So I was personally a fan of the Oz kits, but I won't say it's for no reason, because 2K Australia, they kind of got limited and their writing was nowhere compared to Borderlands 2's, but I will say the pre-sequel story was really damn good. I think they did it well, and they did it a whole lot better than Borderlands 3. Where did they go wrong, man? How do you go from the pre-sequel writing to Borderlands 3? I don't know if 2K Australia wrote the pre-sequel, but if they did, we need to hire them back for Borderlands 4. The next comment is from @Zoom. Borderlands 2 did not age well. You know, next comment from @Malik. I'm going to say Malik because I think that's what it looks like. Corrosive from Borderlands 1 is better than Slag from Borderlands 2. Okay. Are we talking from a damage dealing perspective? I mean, Borderlands 2 Slag was more of a primer. You know, like when you paint your house, you're going to put slag on it first to make sure your paint sticks better. In Borderlands 1, Corrosive just melted shit. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think it's hard to compare a paint to a primer, if that makes sense. @Emerald 4218 says, I like farming cosmetics more than weapons. At its Termex thinks you are a crazy guy, but I'm not gonna hate you for it. Everyone has different goals when it comes to games, MMOs, Borderlands, Call of Duty. If you like farming cosmetics more than the weapons themselves, more power to you. I don't think this is really a hot take. This is just a personal perspective on why you enjoy gaming. At Sojourner Taylor, Sirens are the worst thing to happen to the Borderlands series. And then Bro responds, that's literally what the entire franchise is centered around. Yeah, if you don't like Sirens, that's kind of tough, because that's what the entire game is about, with Pandora, with Angel, with Lilith, with the lady from Borderlands 1 that got stabbed. God, it's like Commander Steel. I forgot her damn name. The whole game has been for Sirens. Iridium comes from Sirens, and that's the whole reason with the vaults. Borderlands is Sirens. What is this comment? I love you. What do you mean it's the worst thing that happened to the series? It is the series. At Axel Falter 215 says, Lilith is the worst character in the entire franchise. It's she's up there. Trust me, she's up there, but Lilith ain't as bad as Ava. Even with Ava's quote-unquote redeeming DLC and cutscene that didn't make it to the full game, Ava's still pretty bad. At Mike Housley 757 says, Rose and Storin still suck. I mean, yeah, that's a pistol from Borderlands 3 that shoots a corrosive flower petal, and in the middle it's a fire projectile, I believe. Oh no, it's a corrosive projectile in the middle and then fire around it. It's one or the other. Yeah, it still sucks, not gonna lie. Not really a hot take. I agree with that. At MadDog5284 says, Borderlands 2 is mid and people overhype it because of nostalgia. The story has so many plot holes and changes that make no sense, and the late game is boring because you have no real choice later on to experiment. Just the same playstyles as everyone else, nothing unique or personal like in normal and TV mode. True Vault Hunter mode, if you guys don't know what that means. I will say, I don't think Borderlands 2 is mid whatsoever. It had the best environments, the most DLCs, the most raid bosses that were actually fun and accessible. I don't want to hear the same damn argument, oh, Borderlands 3, it has Valley 1 takedown, and then the Guardian takedown, and then there's like 3 bosses in that whole thing. Not everybody wants to do that, okay? Yes, those are cool. I classify them as raid bosses, but as a Borderlands fan, don't know if you guys agree with me. Maybe this is another hot take. I just want to go to a door, click my Iridium button, and I want to kill the damn boss. Takedowns are a great piece of content, but I don't want to do 80% of the takedown that I don't want to do the 20% for the boss I want to kill. I just think that's a little dumb. And Wonderlands also did this very wrong, because you had to play the Chaos Chamber to get the raid bosses. Even though you probably don't want to be doing the Chaos Chamber, you have to do the Chaos Chamber to do the raid bosses. And I think when you force players to do a certain piece of content to do something else that they want to do, is just very stupid, and it could lead to a lot of people just not enjoying the content or falsely hating it because you force them to do something they don't want to do. At Sleroy says, Borderlands 1 is the worst game in the franchise. I will have to disagree. I would put Wonderlands below Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 had soul to it. Borderlands 1 was a classic. It had a lot of fun things going for it. The guns were really raw and rugged. Old Pandora was very real. It felt like, hey, this looks like a rundown Pandora wasteland, and we're just some dudes on a big rock looking for some guns. Overall, it's below it. Wonderlands had some great things going for it and made vast improvements, but those don't really mean much when the game itself sucked and had no end game. It didn't learn from any of the old games. I'm not going to go over Wonderlands again. We all know what happened to the dang game. At Bayufi says, too much neon and glowy shit in the newer games. I would have to agree. Okay, this is a really good hot take I want to go over, because this isn't really too negative of a take, because what he's saying here is it's too colorful and vibrant to keep up with everyone's brains, I guess. Because if you look at it, Borderlands has always been a rugged, I just discussed this for Borderlands 1. And Borderlands 2, I think, had the best yin and yang to color palettes, because there were some vibrant areas and vibrant guns and moments, but the whole game wasn't overwhelmingly vibrant. Borderlands 2, you had radiation with yellow explosions, and you had guns and amp shields that made your projectiles look like confetti, and all of your particle effects. It looked like you were playing Warframe on ludicrous particle settings, and there was a lot going on. There was a lot of visual clutter, and it looked like you had the saturation filter pumped to 200. And yes, I do agree. I don't really like that with Borderlands. I don't feel like I'm rugged. It kind of feels more like an arcade type thing. Doesn't make the game unplayable by any means, but I will agree. You get a heart from me, because I hope Borderlands 4 at least feels more rugged and not so colorful. I love colorful games, but Borderlands 2 is probably a great example of how to balance that out correctly. At NRA Clutch says, Sal mains and Claptrap mains should stick to solo grinding. Well, I wouldn't say lock out an entire class of players from playing multiplayer just because they're overpowered and they do a lot of AoE damage. I think that's annoying, but I will say that the only people that should be solo grinding is the people that have modded shit and they join your game and they just ruin the whole experience. those guys can, yeah, they could leave. At Scooter-Doo says they should have stopped after Borderlands 2. They made such a great game that they themselves couldn't even top it. That's definitely a hot take. They could have topped it if they listened more and they took feedback, and it proves that even after the Borderlands 3 shenanigans and the community backlash and they made Wonderlands, I don't think they know what they're doing anymore. I love the damn series, but man, I don't know who's running shit. Randy, you know, man, get a YouTuber from the Borderlands community like freaking Jolts or something to like be your lead creative director. No offense to the current creative directors or anyone else, but shit ain't going right, man. If you want Borderlands to improve, you want Borderlands to be a household name again like Borderlands 2 was, you got to get some better something, man. Because if you're not going to listen to the people that play your game, there's not much we could really do to help you out, you know? So the last hot take I'm going to go over in today's video is from Rajikashiyu, but they say the double new game plus an OP level system is terrible. I don't want to beat the entire story 3 times and repeat the exact things every time to appreciate all the content. I haven't played Borderlands 3 or Wonderlands, but I'm 100% sure that whatever post-game system they have is just better than Borderlands 2. Well, let me tell you, Borderlands 3 probably has a little bit better of a post-game system because they improved on things. You don't have to make a new character to do Slaughter Dome. You don't have to make a new character to do certain things again. So yes, kind of, Borderlands 3 does have a very similar endgame to Borderlands 2, but just with some quality life improvements. Wonderlands, on the other hand, is exactly what you just said you hated. The same old shit. You play Chaos Chamber, you make the arbitrary number go higher and higher, and then your difficulty slider goes artificially higher and higher because they just get more damage and more health, and you're not really growing as the player, but that's fun, right, everyone? Woohoo! Optional content. Chaos Chamber. Now, there's a lot more comments because you guys just went crazy on this poll, but I'm recording for almost 38 minutes now, so if you want to see a part 2, please let me know in the comments down below, and go over to my community tab on my YouTube channel, and you can put your own hot takes right now. It's the most recent post and most recent poll that I have on my channel, and maybe, hey, you could be featured in one of these videos, and if this video does well enough, I will do a part 2. But thank you guys so much for watching. More Borderlands retrospective videos are coming out very, very soon. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video because it does help me out a lot and spreads out my content more out to the Borderlands community. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on another video from me. But you guys have a terrific day, stay safe, and I'll see you all later.